Hey there, sweet, how goes it? I do hope that it goes well. Welcome, homies. Please do the tribe a favor. Make sure you get those little likes up on your way in. Oh, I thought I put that on vibrate. All right, one big stoner, excuse me for any and all coughs. Have you guys checked to make sure you are a subscriber, a homie through and through? Much love and thanks to those that have and do. Also, have you caught us on my other channel, Gypsy's Shanty Tarot Variety? If not, go catch us over there if you're interested. My books are available. One link below. You should be able to find all the others from there. Links for donation if you want to throw some change in my empty guitar case, available below. I'm not going to be doing music to start. I'm going to listen to this little channel, not little, but this channel that I listen to that do these cool videos. Grim Grit. So that's where I'm starting, and I have no idea where I'm starting painting. I will say my camera's been doing some funny things, or YouTube's been doing some funny things. I did a reading a little bit ago, live stream, and it cut out. I wasn't aware when it did, so if that happens in this video, which I hope and pray it doesn't, I do apologize. And my monitor is in a spot that is hard to see, so I will not be participating in the chat a whole lot as I paint and get into the vibe. I imagine you guys see the background. I've done a little bit of a video as to point out, like, this is where the origin of sound is. I can't tell if you can. Yep, you can. This is the origin of sound. I have my lamp in front of my monitor so that I have nice lighting. So it's hard to look over and see. Origin of sound, just kind of through the enchanted forest. In this room, I call the Enchanted Library, thanks to one of our subscribers, Creatrix, gave me the idea. Much appreciated, because, yeah, a room without books is like a house without windows. And even for me, I sometimes wish that everything was a window, but a window to nature, so I'm always painting nature. Anyway, take a sip of coffee, smoke in, and get started.
There you are. Look who's been living inside everyone else's head without permission. Hello, you beautiful, terrifying mind reader, you walking lie detector, you human surveillance system wrapped in flesh and bone. Yeah, I'm talking to you, the one who knew your best friend was lying 3 sentences before they even started the story. The one who felt the betrayal.
This was just released like 5 minutes ago, so I've never listened to this one before. I'm excited.
In the air 2 weeks before it happened. Tasted the fake smile before it even stretched across their face. Sensed the trap before the door even opened. They think you're paranoid, don't they? They call you overthinking, too sensitive, too suspicious, reading into things that aren't there. But here's what's actually happening. Here's the truth they're terrified to admit. You're not imagining anything. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not defective. You're awake.
Introducing the new knit and sew shop at Michael's. Explore thousands of fabric styles and thousands of...
You're awake. You're operating on a frequency most people don't even know exists. Picking up signals they've trained themselves to ignore. Seeing patterns they've convinced themselves are invisible. You knew she was going to leave before she packed a single bag, didn't you? You felt him pulling away before he stopped texting. You sensed the job was going to fall through before they sent the rejection email. You watched people plot against you while they smiled in your face. And when you tried to warn others, when you tried to explain what you felt, they looked at you like you were losing your mind. But 6 weeks later, 3 months later, a year later, when everything you predicted came true exactly as you said it would, suddenly everyone went quiet. Suddenly nobody wanted to talk about how right you were. Suddenly you became the one they were afraid of. Because now they realize something absolutely terrifying. You can see them. Not just what they show you, not just the mask they wear in public, not just the version of themselves they rehearsed in the mirror. You see the intention before the action, the thought before the word, the rot before the flower wilts. You see them in ways they don't even see themselves. And that right there is what keeps them up at night. You're not just observing anymore, you're predicting. You're 3 steps ahead of their choreography, and they hate it because they can't hide from you. They can't gaslight you. They can't rewrite history when you already read the ending in their eyes 2 chapters ago. Let's talk about what really happened to you, shall we? Because this isn't some superpower you were born with. This isn't genetic. This isn't luck. This is survival instinct weaponized. This is trauma transmuted into tactical advantage. This is what happens when you've been burned so many times you learn to smell the smoke before the match even strikes. You didn't choose this ability. It chose you. The moment you realized people's words and their energy don't match. The moment you caught someone's eyes flicker just half a second before they lied. The moment you felt your stomach drop in a room full of smiles and knew something was wrong even though nothing had happened yet. You remember that feeling, don't you? That sinking sensation in your gut when everyone else seemed fine, when the conversation flowed normally, when the laughter sounded genuine, but something inside you screamed, danger, abort, run, get out now. And you ignored it, didn't you? Because you wanted to be normal. You wanted to trust like everyone else. You wanted to believe in the best, so you silenced that voice. You pushed down that instinct. You told yourself you were being irrational, overly cautious, self-sabotaging. And then it happened. The betrayal, the lie, the setup, the explosion. And as you stood there in the wreckage, surrounded by people acting shocked, you whispered to yourself, I knew. I felt it. I saw it coming. Why didn't I listen? That was the moment everything changed, wasn't it? That was the moment you stopped ignoring the signals. That was the moment you started trusting your radar over their reassurances. Started believing your intuition over their explanations. Started honoring the warnings your body gave you, even when your mind wanted to rationalize them away. You became a student of micro-expressions, body language, tonal shifts, energy signatures. You learned to read the room like a crime scene, detecting inconsistencies others couldn't see, noticing details they overlooked, feeling atmospheric shifts they were numb to. And now, you can't turn it off, can you? You walk into a space and immediately know who's genuinely happy and who's performing, who's comfortable and who's pretending, who's trustworthy and who's calculating their next move. You listen to someone speak and hear not just their words, but the subtext beneath them, the fear behind the confidence, the manipulation wrapped in kindness, the hunger disguised as generosity. You watch relationships unfold around you and predict their endings with eerie accuracy, see the cracks forming while everyone else celebrates the surface. Sense the poison spreading through the well before anyone takes a sip. People think you're negative, don't they? They say you're jaded, cynical, always expecting the worst. But you're not expecting anything. You're observing. You're not projecting your past. You're reading their present. You're not paranoid. You're prepared. And the reason they can't handle it, The reason they push back so hard when you voice your concerns is because your accuracy threatens their delusion. Your clarity exposes their denial. Your willingness to name what you see ruins their ability to pretend everything's fine. You're the child in the crowd screaming that the emperor has no clothes, and they hate you for it because they spent years perfecting their blindness. So here you are now, living in a world where you're simultaneously too much and not enough, too perceptive for shallow company, and too honest for polite society. You sit in conversations feeling like an alien wearing human skin, watching people interact with such performative enthusiasm, such calculated vulnerability, such rehearsed spontaneity. And you can't participate anymore because you see through it all. A lot of people want a piece of you. Take this. What's that? Subway sandwich. You got that thing on me. Don't be stupid. FX is the lowdown. Now streaming on Hulu. It all. You see the agenda behind the compliment, the manipulation behind the friendship, and it's exhausting. You've tried dumbing yourself down, haven't you? You've tried pretending you don't notice things, playing along with the illusion, laughing at jokes that aren't funny, agreeing with statements that contradict what you observe, staying quiet when every cell in your body screams to call out the inconsistency. You've tried making yourself smaller, softer, less threatening, more digestible. You've tried to fit in by filing down the very thing that makes you powerful. And it never works. It never works because the moment you suppress your perception, you betray yourself. The moment you ignore what you know to make others comfortable, you fracture your own integrity. And then comes the loneliness, that deep, aching, suffocating loneliness of being surrounded by people who will never understand you, who will never see what you see, who will never believe what you know until it's too late, who will never appreciate the warnings you give until they're standing in the ruins you predicted. You watch them make the same mistakes over and over, choose the same toxic people in different bodies, fall for the same manipulations with slightly altered scripts. You try to guide them, try to show them what you see, try to save them from pain you can see coming from miles away, and they resent you for it. They call you judgmental, controlling, negative, bitter. They choose the comfortable lie over your uncomfortable truth, and then months later they come back crying, asking how you knew, how you saw it. Why didn't you warn them harder? But you did warn them. You always warned them. You spend half your life trying to protect people from threats they refuse to acknowledge until those threats destroy them. And the other half, you spend that in silence, learning that your gift is also your curse, that seeing clearly means walking alone, that being right doesn't make you liked, it makes you feared. So you retreat, you build walls, you shrink your circle until it's so small it's barely visible. You stop sharing what you observe because you're tired of being gaslit, tired of being called paranoid, tired of having your accuracy weaponized against you as evidence of instability rather than intelligence. Are you to be hiding or hiding paranoid? Paranoid sounds familiar. Deep is dead, excuse the expression. You begin to see recognition. You begin to see multitudes. You begin to think you have power. You think that you have the power to inspire others of evil inside of them. And in that isolation, something shifts. The loneliness stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like protection. The distance stops feeling like rejection and starts feeling like elevation. The silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling sacred, because you're no longer surrounded by people who drain you, lie to you, use you, manipulate you. You're surrounded by yourself, and for the first time in years, maybe in your entire life, you realize that's not a tragedy. That's a victory. You're not lonely anymore. You're selective. You're not isolated anymore. You're protected. You're not disconnected anymore. You're free. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this is where it gets interesting. This is where your ability stops being a burden and becomes a weapon. This is where you stop apologizing for seeing clearly and start leveraging it ruthlessly. You've spent years feeling guilty about your perception, haven't you? Feeling like maybe you're too judgmental, too harsh, too quick to dismiss people. You've bent over backwards trying to give people the benefit of the doubt even when your instincts screamed otherwise. You forced yourself to be patient with people your intuition told you to run from. You've stayed in situations your body begged you to leave because you didn't want to be wrong, didn't want to seem difficult, didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But something happened recently, didn't it? Maybe it was the final betrayal, the last lie, the ultimate revelation that proved once and for all that your instincts were never wrong. People just didn't want you to be right. Maybe it was watching someone you warned, someone you tried to save, someone you exhausted yourself trying to protect, get exactly what you predicted while blaming you for not stopping them harder.
I'm always on the go, so if it's not on my phone, I'm not using it. The Capital One mobile app makes my life so much.
Maybe it was just reaching a threshold, a breaking point, where you looked at yourself in the mirror and said enough. Enough apologizing for being aware. Enough shrinking to make others comfortable. Enough pretending to be blind so they could continue hiding. Enough. That's when the shift occurred. That's when you stopped asking permission to trust yourself. That's when you stopped seeking external validation for internal knowing. That's when you started moving based on what you felt rather than what you could prove. Started walking away from people and situations the moment your radar pinged, without needing to gather evidence first, without needing to catch them in the act, without needing to build a case that would satisfy people who were never going to believe you anyway. You became unapologetic about your boundaries, ruthless about your energy, uncompromising about your peace, and they noticed. They noticed immediately, because the moment you stopped explaining yourself, stopped defending your decisions, stopped trying to make your intuition make sense to people who operate on a completely different frequency, you became untouchable. The moment you started honoring your perception without apology, you became unpredictable. And unpredictable means uncontrollable. And uncontrollable means dangerous. So now they're scrambling, aren't they? The people who used to manipulate you so easily, who used to